In the heart of a once thriving metropolis, the world lay in ruins. A global electromagnetic storm had erupted without warning, throwing civilization into disarray. Skyscrapers flickered with dying lights, sirens wailed in the distance, and the air crackled with an eerie tension. People stumbled through the streets, their faces illuminated by the glow of dying screens, their eyes wide with panic and confusion. Liang Chen stood at the edge of a darkened alley, his heart racing as he surveyed the chaos. A mechanical engineer by training, he had always been fascinated by technology, but now it felt like a distant memory. His hands trembled with a strange energy, a power he had only recently begun to understand. It was during the storm that he discovered his unique ability to manipulate electromagnetic fields, a gift that had come with a steep price. As he peered into the swirling darkness, a voice called out. "Liang." It was Mei, a childhood friend, her face streaked with dirt and desperation. "We need your help. The hospital is out of power, and people are trapped." Nodding, Liang felt the familiar surge of energy course through him. He could control the remnants of electricity still crackling in the environment. "Let's go," he said, determination burning in his chest. They hurried towards the hospital, navigating through the rubble and debris of their once familiar city. Inside the hospital, chaos reigned. Medics struggled to keep patients alive as machines flatlined one after another. Liang took a deep breath, grounding himself. "I can help," he announced, stepping forward. Mei stayed close, her eyes filled with hope focusing on the electrical circuits that lay dormant. Liang reached out with his mind, willing the energy to flow. The lights flickered, then steadied. Machines began to hum back to life, and he felt a rush of relief wash over him. But it was short-lived. The storm outside raged on, and with it, a darker force was awakening. Amid the turmoil, whispers of a figure known only as Sun spread through the streets. A former scientist twisted by the chaos, he had emerged with his own electromagnetic powers, believing he was chosen to lead humanity into a new age, one devoid of technology. He rallied followers who believed in his radical vision, and their numbers were growing. As Liang and Mei worked to stabilize the hospital, a flicker of movement caught Liang's eye. Shadows loomed at the entrance. Sun's followers had arrived, armed with makeshift weapons and a fanatical fervor. A hushed silence fell over the hospital as the intruders entered. "Join us," one of them shouted. "Embrace the storm. Reject the machines that have betrayed you." Liang's heart raced. He knew he couldn't let Sun's ideology spread. "We need to fight back," he whispered to Mei. Together, they prepared to confront the intruders, but their odds were grim. The tension snapped as a scuffle broke out. Liang tapped into his powers, sending a jolt of electricity surging towards their attackers. The lights flickered wildly, creating a chaotic dance of shadows as the followers staggered back, fear etched on their faces. "This is our home," Liang shouted. "We won't let you destroy it." After a desperate struggle, they managed to push the intruders back. But the victory felt hollow. The fight with Sun was far from over. In the days that followed, Liang gathered a small group of survivors. Each member brought unique skills. Mei was resourceful, Alex had a knack for mechanics, and Nora, a former nurse, provided medical support. They trained in the shadows, honing their abilities to manipulate the electromagnetic energies surrounding them. As they prepared to confront Sun, Liang's vision of a world reborn clashed with the reality of the chaos. He could feel the weight of responsibility pressing down on him. "What if we lose?" Nora asked one evening, her voice laced with fear. "Then we fight again," Liang replied, the determination in his voice firm. We have to protect our home." Days turned into weeks, and the storm showed no signs of abating. Rumors of Sun's growing power filled the air, and his followers struck at random, sowing terror throughout the city. The tension in Liang's group escalated, with moments of doubt creeping in as they faced overwhelming odds. One fateful night, they finally tracked down Sun's base, a fortified location pulsating with dark energy. The air crackled ominously as they approached, their hearts pounding in unison. Liang could sense Sun's presence, an oppressive force that filled the air like a storm cloud. Inside, Sun stood at the center of a chaotic ritual, surrounded by followers chanting fervently. His eyes gleamed with madness, and he raised his arms as if welcoming the storm. "You're too late, Liang," he roared. "This world will fall, and I will rise as its savior." The showdown was inevitable. Liang felt the power surging through him as he faced Sun, their electromagnetic energies clashing in a spectacular display. Waves of energy crackled and burst around them, illuminating the darkened space. The ground trembled beneath their feet as they fought for the fate of humanity. "Your vision is flawed, Sun," Liang shouted, struggling to maintain his footing against the onslaught. "You think you can save us by destroying everything? You're wrong. Let them see the truth." Sun screamed, sending a wave of energy that pushed Liang back. The room spun around him, but he fought to regain control, focusing on the energy that pulsed in the air. With a surge of determination, he unleashed a powerful burst, redirecting the energy around him. It enveloped Sun, momentarily stunning him. Seizing the opportunity, Liang closed the distance, determination etched on his face. "We're stronger together, Sun. We can rebuild," he pleaded, his voice echoing through the chaos. For a brief moment, uncertainty flickered in Sun's eyes. But the darkness was too deep. With a furious roar, he unleashed his power, intent on destruction. Liang's heart sank as he realized the truth. Sun could not be saved. The final clash erupted in a blinding flash. The electromagnetic energies collided, creating a shockwave that rippled through the room. When the dust settled, Sun lay defeated, his followers scattered in fear. But the battle had taken its toll on Liang. He stumbled, exhaustion washing over him. As the storm outside began to abate, the world slowly began to recover. Liang, battered but unbroken, surveyed the damage. The city was scarred, but hope glimmered amidst the ruins. He and his group worked tirelessly to help those affected, restoring power where they could and rebuilding the shattered community. In the aftermath, Liang stood atop a hill overlooking the city, the sun breaking through the clouds for the first time in weeks. The storm had not just ravaged their home, it had forged a new beginning. With May, Alex, and Nora by his side, they formed a new council dedicated to using technology wisely, ensuring that the mistakes of the past would not be repeated. "We'll do this together," Liang vowed, his heart full of hope. They would embrace technology, but they would do so with a newfound respect for the balance of nature and humanity. The world was changing, and as they stood united against the horizon, Liang knew they were ready to face whatever came next. The storm may have brought chaos, but it also brought them together. And together, they would rebuild. As Liang stood atop the hill, the city stretching out before him, he felt the weight of the future pressing against his shoulders. The scars of the storm were still fresh, but in the distance, he could see signs of life returning. People were beginning to emerge from their shelters, tentative at first, but with each passing hour, their confidence grew. The community had come together in a way he had never imagined possible. Neighborhoods were forming coalitions to restore power to homes and hospitals, sharing resources and knowledge. They were learning to rely on each other in ways they hadn't before. And with each shared meal and collaborative effort, a sense of unity blossomed. Liang found solace in small victories. One afternoon, he worked alongside Mei, repairing a solar panel that had been damaged during the storm. She handed him tools with a steady confidence, her eyes bright with determination. "We can make this work," she said, tightening a bolt. "If we focus on sustainable solutions, we can build something better." "Exactly," Liang replied, feeling the rush of optimism swell in his chest. "We have a chance to redefine how we interact with technology. It doesn't have to control us, we can control it." As the days turned into weeks, they implemented their vision of a community that blended technology with a respect for nature. They organized workshops, teaching others how to harness renewable energy sources and repair what they could. The remnants of the old world were woven into the fabric of a new society, one that valued resilience over reliance, and community over isolation. Yet, even amidst this newfound hope, shadows lurked. Liang had received sporadic reports of small factions still loyal to Sun, remnants of his followers who were unwilling to accept defeat. They roamed the outskirts of the city, whispering promises of a return to a purer existence without technology. It was a dangerous ideology, one that could unravel everything they were working to rebuild. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a warm glow over the city, Liang convened a meeting with his group. The air was thick with a mix of anticipation and concern as they gathered around a makeshift table in the community center. "We need to address the threat from Sun's followers," he began, looking each of them in the eye. "If we ignore them, we risk everything we've fought for." Nora leaned forward, her brow furrowed. "What do you suggest?" "We can't fight them the same way we fought Sun. We need to find another approach." "Education," Liang proposed, a spark igniting in his mind. "If we show them the benefits of what we're creating, maybe we can sway some of them to our side. We need to reach out, hold discussions, invite them into our community. Fear thrives in isolation, we must break that cycle." Mei nodded, her expression thoughtful. "It's risky, but it could work. If we can demonstrate how technology can coexist with our values, we might bring some of them back into the fold." As they finalized their plans, Liang felt a renewed sense of purpose. They would host an open forum, inviting anyone who wanted to attend, regardless of their beliefs. It would be a chance to share ideas, express fears, and hopefully, heal divisions. The next week, banners were hung around the community center, and the word spread through the city. People from all walks of life began to gather, intrigued by the prospect of open dialogue. Liang felt a mix of excitement and anxiety as he prepared to speak. Standing before a crowd that filled the hall, he took a deep breath, grounding himself in the moment. "Thank you all for coming," he began, his voice steady. "We stand at a crossroads. The storm has tested us in unimaginable ways, but it has also brought us together. Our community has shown that we can thrive if we work together. Today, I want to discuss how we can harness our past mistakes to create a better future." He spoke passionately, sharing stories of their struggles and triumphs, emphasizing the importance of unity and understanding. As he spoke, he noticed faces in the crowd beginning to soften, expressions shifting from skepticism to curiosity. After the speech, the floor was open for questions. One man stood up, his face shadowed by a hood. "What makes you think we should trust you? You think technology is the answer? Look where it got us." "Trust isn't given, it's earned," Liang replied, his heart racing. "I understand your fear. We've all felt it. But we believe that technology can be a tool for good, not just destruction. It's about how we use it. We want to rebuild, but we want your voices to be part of that process." The man nodded, and Liang sensed a shift in the room. People began to share their own experiences, fears, and hopes. They discussed the loss they had endured, the anger that bubbled beneath the surface, and the dreams they held for their children. For the first time, it felt like a genuine conversation was taking place. Over the following weeks, the forum became a regular gathering. They discussed everything from energy solutions to community gardening, integrating old traditions with new technologies. Some former followers of Sun began to attend, intrigued by the dialogue and the openness they found. Slowly, the rift began to close, and new friendships formed across lines that had once felt insurmountable, but as hope bloomed, so too did the remnants of dissent. One evening, after a particularly successful gathering, Liang received troubling news. A group of Sun's remaining followers had been spotted on the outskirts of the community, organizing protests against the direction they were taking. Rumors spread of plans to disrupt the next forum, intent on instilling fear and chaos once again. Liang called an emergency meeting with his group. "We can't let this continue," he said, tension etched in his features. "We've made progress, but if they're planning to disrupt us, we need to be prepared. We can't allow fear to win." May's expression was resolute. "We need to ensure the safety of our community during the next forum. We can set up a perimeter and have people ready to respond if things escalate." Nora suggested reaching out to the newcomers who had begun to trust them. "They might be willing to help defend our community. They have a stake in this too." As plans solidified, Liang felt the weight of leadership heavy on his shoulders. This was more than just a battle against a physical enemy, it was a struggle for the very soul of their community. The stakes had never felt higher. On the night of the next forum, the atmosphere was charged with anticipation. The hall was filled with a sense of purpose, each face illuminated by candlelight. Liang took the stage again, but this time, he was keenly aware of the shadows lurking beyond the walls. "Tonight, we gather not just to discuss our future but to celebrate our unity," he began, his voice ringing clear. "This community has proven that we can overcome adversity, and together, we can forge a new path. But we must also be vigilant. We are not alone in our beliefs, and there are those who want to tear us apart." A murmur rippled through the crowd as he outlined the challenges they faced. "If any disruption occurs, I urge you to remain calm. We are stronger together, and fear will not dictate our actions." As the forum progressed, the energy shifted. People shared stories, laughter, and hopes, the warmth of connection filling the air. But Liang kept a close watch, feeling the tension coiling in his gut. He knew the storm was not just a natural phenomenon, it was also brewing within the hearts of those who resisted change. Then, amidst the laughter and the exchange of ideas, chaos erupted. A group of Sun's followers stormed into the hall, brandishing signs and chanting slogans against technology. "Return to simplicity," they yelled, their voices rising above the crowd. "Reject the machines." Liang's heart raced as he watched the panic unfold. "Everyone, stay calm," he shouted, but the room was already in disarray. He could feel fear creeping in, threatening to unravel everything they had built. With a quick glance at May and Nora, he moved toward the front of the room. "We need to engage with them," he said firmly. "We can't let this escalate into violence." He stepped forward, raising his hands in a gesture of peace. "I understand your fears," he said, addressing the intruders directly. "But this is not the way. We're here to create a future together. Let's talk instead of fighting." The chanting grew louder, drowning out his voice. But Liang pressed on, drawing from the energy of the crowd behind him. You were once part of this community. Don't you want to find common ground? The leader of the group, a tall woman with fierce eyes, stepped forward. Common ground? You think you can persuade us with your pretty words? We've seen the destruction technology brings. Then let's talk about it, Liang urged. Let's share our experiences. We can learn from each other. There was a flicker of hesitation in her eyes, and he seized the moment. We're not enemies. We all want what's best for our future. Let's find a way to coexist. For a brief moment, the room fell silent. The tension hung in the air, thick and palpable. Liang held his breath, hoping to bridge the gap. The woman's expression softened slightly, and the voices of the crowd began to echo Liang's plea for understanding. Let's hear him out, someone shouted from the back, and the murmur of agreement spread like wildfire. The leader nodded, her eyes narrowing as she weighed her options. Fine. But know this: if you betray us, we will not hesitate to act. Liang exhaled, a mix of relief and determination flooding through him. We won't betray you. We're all in this together. Let's find a path forward. As the evening unfolded, the conversation shifted from hostility to dialogue. People shared their fears, their stories of loss and recovery, and slowly, walls began to crumble. The realization settled over the room: there was more that united them than divided them. As the forum came to a close, Liang looked around at the faces illuminated by hope. The night had transformed into something unexpected, a reminder of the power of connection. They were a community, imperfect and flawed, but willing to grow and change together. In the following weeks, they continued to build on this newfound unity. Liang worked closely with the former followers of Sun, forging alliances and finding common ground. They explored sustainable practices and shared knowledge, blending technology with the simplicity that many craved. Liang could feel the winds of change sweeping through the city. The storm had not only torn them apart, it had also brought them together in a way that would reshape their world. They learned to respect the delicate balance of nature and technology, creating a foundation for a future that would thrive. One evening, as the sun set in a blaze of color, Liang stood with Mei at the top of the hill, overlooking the city. Look how far we've come, she said, her voice filled with awe. We have so much more to do, Liang replied, a smile spreading across his face. But we're not alone anymore. Together, we can build something truly remarkable. And as the last rays of sunlight faded, he felt a renewed sense of purpose. The future stretched out before them, filled with possibilities. They would face challenges, no doubt, but now they had a community, a family, ready to embrace whatever storms lay ahead. Liang knew they would navigate the complexities of rebuilding, and together, they would find their way. The world was theirs to shape, and with every step forward, they would honor the lessons learned from the past, ensuring that hope would always prevail.